Hey Year 10, welcome back to Remote Learning. What you're about to see is pretty much what I'll do for you guys each lesson we have that's remote. So obviously until Wednesday I think it is, but if this sort of thing happens later on, I'll do this for you as well. You'll see that it's pretty similar to what I'd be doing on the board for you guys anyway, but it's recorded so you guys can stop and go back and kind of fix up anything that you don't understand, hopefully. But I'll be available when class is on to help you guys if you're having any issues anyway. All right, so let's get started. We're up to 3C. We did A and B the other day when we had our double. What you're going to see in 3C is that it's actually super similar to the things you did the other day. So it's not too much extra. All right, so what we did in A, I think, was simplifying surds, and you'll see that that's super similar to what we're doing now. But we also added and subtracted surds as well, which we won't necessarily see right here in my examples, but it's something that we're going to have to do later anyway. Okay. All right, so I'm going to try and keep this nice and quick. So as you can see here, we can multiply surds together using the following rule. Now this rule hopefully looks really similar to you because it's what we were using to simplify them the other day as well. So what we're doing is, if we've got two surds multiplied together, what you can actually do is combine them under that same square root or root. Okay, so let's do it with these few. Alright, so we can combine these two together and it would be underneath that same square root 3 times 11. And we know that 3 times 11 is 33. And we're done. We've multiplied them together. So let's do the exact same thing with this next example here. So again, these two are underneath separate square roots and they're multiplied together. But what we can do is put them underneath the same square root, just like that. And we know that 5 times 7 is 35. And we're done. We'll multiply them together. So let's go to the next one, which might look a little bit harder because we got numbers out the front as well, which is the sort of thing you would have seen the other day when we were simplifying our surds. But hopefully we remember that the order that you're multiplying things doesn't actually matter. So if we have, let's just say, 4 times 5, that's exactly the same as 5 times 4, isn't it? So if it makes it any easier for you, what you can sort of do is rearrange this. Now you don't have to do this. The 2 and the 4 could go together, so 2 times 4, but then we could do our square root of 6 and then our square root of 5 as well. Now you don't have to, as I said, but it might be easier for some people because you got your normal numbers together and then you've got your square roots together as well. And we're doing the same thing as what we did up here. So 2 times 4 is 8. Then we can put these two surds underneath the same square root if we want to. Oh, 3. It's not 3, it's a 5. There we go. So we'd have 8 root 30, just like that. Alright, so there's a few examples of how to multiply them together. Let's move down a little bit, and this is going to be about dividing. So again, hopefully this rule here looks familiar because we were using it the other day as well. We were sort of going from this form, everything underneath the square root, to this, sort of breaking it up. But this time we're mainly going to be going from here and then putting them under the same square root. So let's have a go at these two examples here, and then we'll be done. You'll have time to work on all the questions from your work schedule. All right, so what we can do instead of having those two square roots is both of these things, 12 and 6, 12 and 6, can be underneath that same square root there. So I've sort of combined them, yeah? Now, hopefully we know 12 divided by 6 is 2. There we go. So our answer is going to be the square root of 2. Now let's move over to this last one. Okay, so this one, it has got our normal numbers as well. So we have an 8 and a 6. I might actually change that. Instead of a 6, I'm going to change that to a 4. Oops. Alright, so we've got our normal numbers and we've got our surds as well. So again, we can sort of split it up. So I'm just going to look at those normal numbers first. 8 divided by 4 is 2. And now I want to look at those surds. So it's going to be 2 times, and we can combine them together. So we put them both under that same square root. So 2 times 6 on 2. And hopefully we know 6 divided by 2 is 3. So our answer to this whole thing is going to be 2 root 3. Okay, that's it for today's period. So hopefully that helped you. If you've got any more questions, make sure you get in contact with me. Now's going to be time for you to work on those questions from your work schedule. Now, while we're on remote, I would have said this to you in our Google Meet, but while we're on remote, you'll see that on our Google Classroom, there's spaces for you to upload your work. So what I want you to do, whatever you've done for the period, I want you to take a photo of that near the end of the period and then upload it to that file so I can see what you've done and how you're going. Okay? Again, any questions, let me know. Thanks, you 10.